Hey, Let's Marvel Snap community, Vin4 here. Thanks for tuning into my channel. This video is part one of my Road to Infinite trilogy. Yeah, I'm kind of a Lord of the Rings nerd. In this video, I break down the deck and provide detailed turn-by-turn play lines. I discuss some strategy tips and great locations for maximizing your cubes with Galactus. If you would like to watch the other two parts of my video where I show you how I pilot the deck during some gameplay on my way to Infinite this season, please click on the links provided in the description below. Otherwise, please snap me a like and subscribe as I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of June. I truly do appreciate it. Thanks for joining me. Let's snap. Okay guys, so we're gonna go through the turn by turn. I've got 3 different builds for you just to kind of go through this. They're all very similar, as you know. We're with the Galactus deck, but let's go through these, and then you could see in the gameplay kind of some of the variations that will happen depending on what locations you get, which makes it way more interesting than what I'm about to show you. But the first one is this classic Galactus build. Turn 1, you're going to play Yondu into a location. It could be the revealed location or a different location if you want to raise the RNG up. Then turn 2, you're going to play Wolverine to that same location as Yondu. You guys all know this line. You see it all the time. Turn 3, wave into the same location as Yondu and Wolverine. And then you're going to then play your Galactus on turn 4 into an open location. You're going to turn 5 Spider-Man. And then you're going to turn 6, depending on what's available, you can do Null, Destroyer, or Chavez. And Death. So depending on, again, on what you can do. Now, some of the pros of this particular straightforward play line of Galactus, which we all know, pros are it's easy to do. I mean, it's not hard to run this deck, right? It's a quick game usually. You'll just play wave on 3, game over. Sometimes they just retreat right there. And then you also have a pretty good chance of winning. If they don't have a tech card, they're probably going to just retreat. Or if they don't have the tech card when they need it, they're just going to retreat. So that's pretty nice. Cons, obviously it's super telegraphed when you play your wave on turn 3. You usually don't have initiative on turn 4 because you're playing everything into the same lane. And the max amount you're going to have is, Yondu for 2, Wolverine for 2, that's 4, and Wave for another 3, so 7 in one lane. So a lot of times you don't have initiative as your opponent's playing into other locations. The other problem is, again, even if you win, you're usually just going 1 to 2 cubes. 1 to 2 cubes along, and you're not really gaining much out of it since the games are so quick because people are retreating. So let's go to the what I call turn 5 Galactus, for lack of a better title, I guess. Turn 5 Galactus looks very much the same. You're going to play on turn 1, you're going to play Yondu if you have Yondu in your hand. Turn 2, you're going to play Wolverine if you have Wolverine, and you could play it to the same location as Yondu. Turn 3, you could play either Wave or Electro into the same location as Yondu and Wolverine. And then Dr. Octopus on turn 4 into the Yondu location or another open location. Turn 5, you're obviously going to Galactus on turn 5 into an open location. Turn 6, you're going to play Null, Death, Destroyer, Chavez, all the typical cards that you would normally play. like the first one in Classic Galactus. Now, some of the pros of this are the same as Classic Galactus. Easy play line. Tends to be a little bit more fun just because you're getting extra turns. So you can see what you pull in on your Dr. Octopus, etc. The cons are, again, it's telegraphed. People are really familiar with this, with what you're doing. Can require all 3 locations. That can be a big problem with all the negative locations in Marvel Snap. You have less of a chance of winning this way, and 1 to 2 cubes usually you're getting, just like with Classic Galactus. Now let's look at the last one, which is my favorite one, Destroyer Galactus, I call it. On turn 1, you're going to play Yondu if you have Yondu. Turn 2, you're going to play Wolverine to the same location as Yondu. You could play to a different location if you want. Turn 3, you're going to wave or Electro into another open location. And turn 4, if you have wave, then you play Galactus. If you have Electro, then you play Dr. Octopus, just like you did in turn 5 Galactus. Or if you have neither of those cards, you can play Yondu or Wolverine or combination. If you're playing, I guess just you can't play a combination. Turn 5, you're gonna play Destroyer on top of Galactus. Turn 4, you're gonna play Galactus into an open location. Turn 5, you're gonna play a Destroyer on top of Galactus and Wolverine. And turn 6, you have Null, Chavez, and Death. Okay, so the pros of this play line, it's a little bit less telegraphed, and you can look like a Destroyer deck if you're playing to separate locations, 2 different locations. You have a higher chance for initiative on turn 4 because you are playing to those two different locations. And another pro is because it's a little bit more deceptive what you're doing, you have more of a chance to get 2 to 8 cubes rather than just the 1 to 2 that's typical for Galactus. The cons of this play line, it's obviously more difficult to play. It's not like a monkey deck or anything like that, but it's still difficult to play a little bit more than the other 2. You need a little bit more RNG to win, and the opponent has more time to counter what you're doing. So that's just a few of the play lines. I'm going to get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty as far as locations and what happens, but let's talk about locations real quick and some great locations for this deck playing Galactus, which will allow you to get more 4 and 8 cube games. Games. Yeah, let's take a look at it. Okay guys, there's a few locations I just want to talk to you about that can be really advantageous for running this Galactus deck. And the first one is Altar of Death. After you play a card here, destroy it to get +2 next, +2 energy next turn. I don't know if I have to say a lot about this, but this is great not only to get your Galactus out on the board quicker, but also to reduce the cost of your card Death. So lots of benefits here. You can actually end the game with the turn 6 Galactus. If you have Wolverine out on the board, not a lot of people are running armor right now, so this works really great for that. I have one gameplay where I actually do that, so highly encourage this location to spam this as much as you can. Some other locations here that I wanted to point out to you. This one is kind of non-intuitive to Galactus. I think we look at this and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to fill this up. But Bar Sinister is awesome. Every time I see this, you throw Electro in there on turn 3. and you are now getting +4 energy. So all you need to do is draw, if you already have Destroyer in your hand, you are good to go. You just play him next turn, you destroy all that, you have 2 lanes for Galactus, tons of energy for the rest of the game. It's pretty hard to top when you have Bar Sinister and you have Electro on the board. Love, love, love Bar Sinister, you guys. Use this. Okay, next one. Cloning Vats is another location you could just spam. Just keep throwing Yondu in there. You can clone a couple Wolverines, get Wolverines bouncing around all over the place, run more of a destroy style deck. That can also be quite a bit of fun. So encourage you guys to use that one. This one kind of goes without saying. Collapse Mine. Obviously, this is just going to reduce your death down to 0, which is amazing. So I don't need to talk about that too much. Death's Domain. Death's Domain. Where's Death's Domain? There it is. Death's Domain. When you play a card here, destroy it. Again, kind of the same as Altar of Death. You could really, really just spam this location. It's just pretty sweet to spam this location. So and then you can also end the game on this, which I do in the videos as well. So these are great get out of jail free card locations, if you will. Okay, so next location, Deep Space, which is a new location. In my gameplay, if you saw my part 3 to this video trilogy, you'll see me go wow, because it just came up right in the middle I was playing, and then I used it to I think win the game if I'm not mistaken. But this works really well with this deck, because if you don't have a Galactus play, you can put Dr. Octopus in here without him pulling cards. You can put Destroyer in here without destroying your entire board. So it gives you alternative win conditions. So I really love Deep Space. Had a good time playing with that. I felt like I had the advantage most of the time when I played this location. Let's see. Elysium goes without saying. Cards cost 1 less. That's fantastic. Wave, especially with Electro. I love playing Electro with this. I'm more of an Electro fan than a Wave fan when it comes to Galactus. You'll see in the gameplay. Because once you destroy it, you have that +1 energy, and sometimes you need that +1 energy to throw death on the board, because she costs 1 and Null together. So Elysium's great. Camertage. I had a lot of fun with Camertage as well. Where's Camertage at? On reveal effects happen twice at this location. I have some fun gameplay with this one as well. So, but you can really use this to get 2 power from your Electro, set Destroyer off a couple times, which is what I love to do, is just keep setting him off and keep building up your Wolverines, those kinds of things. That's a lot of fun to play this deck with that location. Luke's Bar. Let's go to Luke's Bar. Luke's Bar is when you play a card here, return it to your hand. This isn't one of those great Galactus locations, but you can spam Yondu on this like crazy, and it's super fun. You could play Wave a couple times, and that also works really well. So at first sight, we might think, oh man, Luke's Bar. But I would play Wolverine a little bit later in the turns than earlier, like on turn 2, or not at all. Just depends, because you don't want him flipping. I guess he could flip into that if he wants to. All right. A few more here, guys. I don't want to take too much of your time. There's just a million locations that can work. You have Muir Island. You get +1. I like using Muir Island just to ramp my cards up. I want to get as much power on those, so if I have Null to play, he's just getting more and more power. And then it also forces your opponent to start playing to that location as well, because they see you ramping up with your power, so they want to start going to that location too. So that works out pretty well for us. Murder World obviously is a great location for us. After turn 3, destroy all cards here. You throw your Yondu in there. You throw your Wolverine in there. You throw Electro in there. Works great with those cards. I mean, you're giving away what you're doing, but you know, who cares, right? So you're a destroy deck and Galactus deck, so let's just go for it. Let's see. A few other ones here. Nidavelir's kind of like Muir Island. That's where you want to just bump up your. There it is. Nidavellir cards here have +5 power. You just bump up your card power so that you can have a 2/7 Wolverine and stuff. Even though it's going to go away when you blow it up. When you do blow it up, Null gets the power that those cards have. So that's really awesome. Here's another one you might not think is a great location, but this one's good not to play into. You want to play your Galactus here if you have Null, because then you have a double effect on Null, and so that's just amazing. You can get Null up really, really high power on these ones. Project Pegasus, another one. You get +5, so you can throw Galactus down early, or throw some other big cards down early that you want to. Rickety Bridge is another one like Death's Domain. Where's Rickety Bridge? Rickety Bridge, where are you? I can't spell R. There's R. Okay, Rickety Bridge. Here's another one. After each turn, if there's more than one card here, destroy them. So this is one of those fun kind of mind games, but you throw Wolverine down there on 2, you throw Electro down on 3, you get just double power from that. It's just fantastic. So I really like playing Rickety Bridge. And then you can also end the game on Rickety Bridge, which I did a couple of times against my opponents. You have Wolverine down and you're just good to go. You can Galactus that lane, all sorts of things. It's kind of fun. Okay. I don't know if I have to even talk about this one. Shuri's Lab. Where is it? Shuri's Lab. After you play a card here, double its power. I mean, what else do you want? Just get that Null value way up, right? So let's go to one of these other ones I really wanted to talk about even more, which sometimes we're like, this isn't good for Galactus, but Sinister London. I love this location. And again, you can watch my gameplay, me using this location to my advantage. I love dropping 2 Wolverines in there. You might not get a Galactus, but you can get Destroyer, and Destroyer is like, for me, he's like really the hero of the deck. I mean, because he just does so many things for you in this deck that work well with Null and Galactus and the whole crew. So you could also play 2 Electros in here and then destroy them, so you get +2 energy every turn. It's just fantastic. Let's see. I don't know. There's really, I mean, there's obviously more in here. You could do the Nexus. The Nexus is great for initiative. So I always love playing to the Nexus when I have it. Your power here is granted other locations as well. That can guarantee you having initiative for your Galactus to go down. They can't stop you. So that is an easy snap if you have, you know, your cards 1, 2, 3 going in line down to wave. So you know you're going to be able to play Galactus usually on that one. Let's see. And then the other 2 are Titan and Vormir that I picked out. Of course, there's more. But Titan is a good one just because it's reducing your 6-card cost by 1. And then Vormir is the first card you play here is destroyed. So obviously you can throw Electro down into that if you want to throw Wolverine down. I usually like to save it for Electro, and that's usually a snap too. When you get your Electro off on Vormir, so that's pretty good. Anyways, guys, those are some great locations. So you can look for those locations when you're on the ladder playing this deck, and use these to your advantage. If you have other locations that you really love as you're playing this deck, please write it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your ideas, so that we can all help each other. Thanks a lot, guys. Let's snap. Okay, guys, let's talk some other simple strategy tips that you're going to need to do in order to maximize your cube gain from this deck. And really, these strategy tips work for every other deck in Marvel Snap. The reason why you're not using or you're getting as many cubes or losing too many cubes is because you're not following these simple rules that everybody needs to follow in Marvel Snap. So let's talk about initiative first with this deck. You want initiative on turn 4 if you are playing Galactus, and you're playing Spider-Man on turn 5. Okay, so choose your location accordingly. You don't want initiative on turn 4 if you're playing Galactus on that turn, if you don't have Spider-Man. I mean, you could still get away with it. It's still okay, but you might not want to drop your death and then get Shang-Chi'd on the final turn. Third point here is you don't want initiative on turn 5. If you're playing Galactus on turn 5, and you're planning on playing Null and Death on turn 6. That's like one of my favorite play lines is do turn 5 Galactus, and you have this huge Null and Death. So make sure you're playing to a location where you're not going to have initiative, and there's really nothing else they can do. They can't Shang-Chi you, they can't Enchantress you. I think the first game in my part 3 video, go check that out. I didn't have initiative. They played an Enchantress, which would have totally knocked out my Null. So make sure you're thinking about those things as you're going through. Now, the second thing that you've got to do, and again, this goes for all decks that you're going to play, not just these Galactus decks, but it's snapping and retreating. Okay, just be smart about these things. Mostly I want to focus on snapping. Maybe I'll talk more about retreating, but first thing is you want to snap on turns 2 through 4. Those avoid 1 and 6. 2 through 4, ideally turn 2 after you've seen the location reveal. Okay, so now you know what you're dealing with. That third location, it may not go your way, so it may be really difficult to pull off a Galactus play with only 2 locations, which often happens. So the second tip on this, on snapping, is you want to snap before you make the play, not after you did the play. Not after you throw the Jubilee down, not that we're playing Jubilee, but and then they see that your Infinite came with it. And then you snap. Now they can make an easy decision to stay or to go. So you have to trust your deck and what you have in your hand, and you have to know your deck well enough to the play lines and that the percentages are in your favor. So snap before you make the play, not after. The third one is never snap on turn 6 unless you're bluffing. Okay, which can be a great play if you have the courage to snap on turn 6, because you have a Galactus deck and they have no idea what you're running in your Galactus deck. So they're going to be thinking Null. They're going to be thinking all these super powerful cards that they may or may not have something to deal with. So I don't bluff too much. Usually though, which goes to my fourth tip here, retreating on that last round. If you wait long enough, a lot of times, and this goes for a lot of the rounds when you're playing Galactus X, but a lot of the times they're going through, they're trying to run the math and everything. Do I have something to deal with Galactus or not? And if you wait long enough, there's several games that I played in these videos that I didn't have an answer. I was gonna retreat, and then they retreated before I did. And so you just kind of want to not be so quick. Sometimes I'm too quick to hit the retreat button. Turn 6, last tip, and you guys should know this. Turn 6, never hit the just retreat button. Hit the retreat later button. Turn 6. I've had several where there were ties, and the opponent retreated too, and I've never had that happen until I played this deck. I've never had that happen. So you'll get a lot of those if you hit the retreat later button. So hopefully these strategy tips help you a little bit as you run this deck and as you run other decks in Marvel Snap. I want all of you guys to hit infinite because it's such a cool feeling to do that. This is my second time around, so super excited about it. So you guys, good luck on the ladder, and let's snap.